Hello from Western New York. And, well, just a couple of days after Thanksgiving. I kind of hope you guys out there had a nice Thanksgiving if you live in the U.S. I had a nice one. Spent time with my family. Okay, that squash looks like maybe a little bit past. Well, I don't know if I'll be getting any seeds from the squash this year. Again, I might still get some. Although, to be honest, the squash I got last year was, well, that I got this year's, I guess, just that chance, because, the skins are kind of getting into the rotting stage and all that other stuff. At least some of them. Guess maybe the skin might not be tough enough to withstand, the constant thawing and whatnot. Yeah, gladiolus plants look like they're dying down and all that. Most of them. Oh, these ones here look like they got it. Basically at that point where you just get the scissors and cut them. Probably going to leave the leaves here, mulch them up in the spring. That's what we tend to do. We don't rake them up or anything. Although I might need to double check some of this. I guess the blueberry plants look okay so far. Then again, it's not like we've had any real winter winds. Still, they got a nice red color. Got a lot of fruit buds, which show promise for next year, hopefully. Hopefully there's one rose in here will grow into a bush. Kind of hope the bleeding hearts I got in here will come up. The honeyberries look interesting. They got this little green growth stuff. I don't know. Guess I'll find out. And of course, Jostaberry here's got a couple of buds on the end. Same thing with this black currant. Also known as a clove currant. Actually, technically, that's a clove currant. More closely related to the red currant than to the black currant, but it's got a dark color. Hence why it's a good substitute for a black currant. Reason is, members of the rabies species, which includes gooseberries and currants, are susceptible to a fungus called pine rust blister. And it doesn't bother the members of the rabies species, but if you got like a pine tree, it can be disastrous, especially in a young pine. Now, these are not pines. I think they are fur or something like that. And, well, black currants are, well, they're the ones that are, of the rabies species, they're the ones that are most susceptible to be carrying this rust, which is why, in fact, there was actually a federal ban on the rabies at one time, and in some places it's although that was kind of and they even apparently they got federal troops to try and eradicate as many as they could. You know, currants, gooseberries. You know, it's part of the reason why gooseberries and currants aren't exactly as well known in the United States as they are in Canada and Europe. But the mission was declared impossible, so they just gave that up and basically just outlawed the growing of it. However, development was made to find cultivars that were resistant to getting the rust. So these days, most of the time, if you're buying a cultivar, usually it is resistant to this rust. And while the black currant being how, well, in many cases the law distinguishes between red currants and gooseberries and the black currants, where they got no problems with you growing gooseberries and red currants, but black currants, on the other hand, they have issues with, for obvious reasons, especially in areas where they grow pine trees for lumber. So, you know, you got these things, you know, and apparently they have a very nice flower. I can't wait for spring to either prove or disprove this. You know, I want to see what they look like. And, you know, I kind of hope I get a nice harvest of currants next year. I didn't get any this year. But, well, we'll see what happens. And of course you got this rose over here. It's a wild one that I brought over here. Not sure if I'm going to cut it out or what. Kind of all depends, I guess. And of course you got the honeyberries, also known as haskap. They are a cousin to the honeysuckle, but they're supposed to produce a very tart, blue-colored berry. Guess we'll see what happens. And of course, we got the gooseberries right along in here. I don't think my kale's going to make it through the winter, but then again, one never knows. You might get a surprise or three. There might be something to work on. Setting up a greenhouse over the, you know, figuring out a location to set up a greenhouse, so that way next winter I might enjoy kale and lettuces throughout the winter. Of course, another thing we're going to have to do is, quite literally, do a lot of harvesting. Now, I am planning on, in the spring, when I cut this back, you know, cut the stems back, or whatever, I am planning on, you know, dividing this into a couple parts. One part's going to stay here, and the other couple more parts are going to be over there, you know, for the interest of the garden I'm working on. Yeah. See how other things turn out as well. Like the grapes. Hopefully this one will come back. I kind of thought it was, you know, didn't realize what she was cutting, you know. Annoying, but happens. Probably ought to do a little bit of work on this in early spring, you know. Hopefully I get some blackberries on it. There's some of my black raspberries that I got in here. And I know I got the black raspberries over there. I know I got some down there. I need to do some, of course, gonna need to cut out my fall golds in the spring. Because, you know, it's kind of recommended that we get a better crop in the fall. I'm gonna have to do the same thing with my heritage and my Polono. And probably my other fall bearers. Yeah, I got a lot of twigs that are falling in the yard I'm gonna need to clean up. I say nothing about that. Strawberry plants look okay so far. Black raspberries look okay, though hey, I'm probably gonna need to trim some of them in the spring. Hopefully I can do something about this wasp nest, well, hornet nest, whatever. And this is obviously going to need some cleaning up. It's kind of interesting. These blackberries still got their leaves. Wild elderberries didn't do anything. Gonna probably cut them down, but hopefully they'll send up a shoot, some new shoots, which might do something. Say nothing about the cultivars I got over in here. I know I got one right there, and I know I got one over in here. Yep, right there. The Duke and... no, not... the York and the Nova. These I'm going to have to cut down, so that way the fall ones will come back better than ever. Looks like my uncle was doing some spreading of manure. Probably gonna see about removing some more twigs and whatnot from there. And I'll tell you one thing, this is gonna be real interesting in the spring. Looks like this is more or less decomposing. The green anyways. Hopefully they'll add on some dirt and manure and compost. You know, probably buy that sort of stuff over the winter. Of course, hopefully I'll get a riding lawnmower or borrow one and see about mowing down the rest of this. Preferably before spring. Well, early spring, you know. But to at least get things started, so I'll be, getting nice and happy. And hopefully next year, well, the 2019 spring, I can get things really cooking. This is looking pretty good, all things considered. It's gonna be interesting working on this. And there's this one, this berry log right in there. I can utilize this little area. That be an interesting hugelkultur, if nothing else. And what with the weeds and whatnot dying, I can get in here a little bit further, show you what else I plan on turning into a hugelkultur. Like this limb here is more or less fallen from the tree, although it's still technically alive. Cut off the various limbs and whatnot and just mound them. That'll be fun. This ground's pretty good. It's constantly got lots of plants growing on it, so that's a good sign. This is more or less somewhat rotten. It'll be a good start. Now, I'll be honest, my brothers are like, really? You're gonna do all that? And they're like, but you realize wood's gonna take a while to break down. and indeed, it probably will take a while to break down. But then again, sooner I get things started, the sooner I can enjoy the benefits. And, no, if nothing else, I'll be having some fun. Building these things. And cleaning up the area in the process. Now, well, it's getting cold, it's getting windy and all that sort of stuff. Subscribe if you like this, post comments, click the like button, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, goodbye.